Americans at Work, the program about you and what you do for a living. What's your job?
I'm a bank clerk.
I'm a cashier in a restaurant.
I'm a wheat farmer.
I'm a model.
Each week at this time, the Columbia Broadcasting System brings you the human story behind the job, a glimpse into the lives and work of the people who keep our everyday world in order. Americans at Work. Tonight, Columbia presents, But Wait a Minute. Perhaps a better introduction would be a little scene that took place last week in one of New York's overcrowded sections.
Trying to get in good with the teacher?
There aren't school books.
Where are they then? Let's see them then. Where'd you get them?
I got them from the library.
Well, I'll be. Look at that, fellas. John Sweetie. Printed, too. Some pumpkin.
Yes, I did, and I got a card to prove it. Look at that. My name is on it.
Hey, Mike, are we going down to Kelly, or are we going to listen to that baby out?
Keep your shirt on. Say, Johnny, how did you happen to get one of them cards?
Miss Smart will tell you. She's swell.
Miss Martin will tell you. Miss Martin, that trim, busy, kindly woman who sits at work in a city branch library and opens a magic world of books to the stream of human beings, young and old, who flow past her desk. Miss Martin is one of America's 40,000 librarians who, like the teacher, the doctor, the social worker, find their work entangled every day in the lives and problems of the people they serve. Tonight, we're going to tell you about Miss Martin. Is her job dull?
Library work? I should say not. I love it. It's exciting and always different, never monotonous. It's just as different as every individual reader is, and no two people are alike.
Well, we'd like to know something about you.
What would you like to know? I'm 32. I've been here at this library branch for 6 years now. I share an apartment with another girl. She's a trained nurse. And our hours are so different we rarely see each other.
Helen, can you take the lending desk for the next half hour? Miss Gray has a cold and has gone home.
Why, yes, surely. Right away. Excuse me, won't you? Saturday night always means a busy lending desk. Let's go back 18 years ago. A 14-year-old girl sits in a living room in a pleasant house in a small American town.
Helen, it's ridiculous to think that you're wanting to become a librarian. Why, that's just work for old ladies who need to help out a little bit.
That's the whole trouble. That's what you think it is, and you don't know anything about it. I love books, and I'd love to help other people love them.
That's what you get, Grace, for letting the child keep her nose in books all the time. Girls shouldn't be bothered with book learning.
Oh, Dad, how can you say such old-fashioned things? I do want to be a librarian. Really, I do. What do you say, Uncle Ned?
I say, if the girl wants to be a librarian, let her. You know, times have changed, Grace. Just because your spinster sister Jane sat in the Ellenville General Store 43 years dealing out a parcel of books she'd never read to all the neighbors and running the town to boot, doesn't mean that's what Helen's going to do. From what I see, a librarian's got to be a right modern smart girl now.
Oh, she has, Uncle Ned. High school, college, then a year at library school.
What? All that to learn how to stamp dates in the back of books?
Stamp dates! Have you any idea what she does? She's got to learn cataloging and literature and history and psychology and everything. She helps people with what to read and see that they get the best.
Helen, dear, I had no idea you felt so strongly about it.
Well, I do. I went over last week to talk to the county librarian at Westbrook, and you know what she said? She said, if you want to be a librarian, don't come in here and tell me you like books. Come in here and tell me you like people, and I know you'll be a good one.
Young Helen Martin liked books and people, and 6 years later, after high school and a state university, she got her first job, replacing a librarian who was to retire. What was it like, this first step in the librarian's career? Well, it was a small local library in a town of 5,000. Perhaps you remember one in your hometown, the rural library, small and isolated, that accounted for nearly half the books loaned and read in America. Helen's salary was $60 a month, and her new problems were many.
Now, my dear, I've been here 31 years, and I think I can help you in getting settled before I leave. By the way, where are you living? I have a room down at the parsonage, $7 a week with meals. That's nice. You'll find it very pleasant. And of course, for your month's vacation, you can go home. I haven't thought of a vacation yet. I'm too anxious to get started. Are there lots of books? No, the list isn't very good, and you'll find difficulty in buying for it. What they want to read and what you think they ought to read. But of course, every one of us has that problem. You'll just have to know your people. Now, for instance, there's the Kelleran family. They're mill workers, all of them, and they come regularly to the library. Sometimes they walk, and it's 6 miles. What's that card with the red mark? That's Mrs. Granville, the wife of one of our trustees. She's always looking for material for papers she reads at her club. You'll end by writing the papers too. I always had to. You know, Ming Dynasty, Indian music. Goodness, well, I can try. Now, here are the Bryants. Nice family. Oh, you'll know everybody in town shortly. They'll ask you for Sunday waffles, and they're awfully nice. Be careful when you send them a card when little Jimmy has a book long overdue. Try to avoid it. She gets perfectly wild. How do you get the book back? Oh, you'll run into Jimmy around, coming from school or in the drugstore, and you just keep asking him. And now here's the Hackett family. He's a truck farmer. Lives about 10 miles out of town. They're very poor, but they're rich in what they get from books. Goodness, you really know your people, don't you? Everybody. It's the only way to be a successful country librarian.
The local librarian holds a key job in her small community. Her particular problem is knowing her people intimately, supplying an infinite variety of demands from a small supply of books, and suiting her personal life to a budget that will rarely grow beyond $1,200 a year.
I was a rural librarian for 6 years. It was a wonderful experience in knowing people, but I knew I couldn't get any farther there. In those 6 years, I had managed to save enough to take me to the library school for a year. A year later, I started to look for a city job.
A city job, joining the thousands of busy men and women who cater daily to the book needs of millions. Although we are telling you the story of a girl librarian tonight, the library field has at least one man out of 7 librarians. In technical departments, in advisory work, in administrative work, in every branch. For it is the trained man librarian who fills the executive positions at our biggest libraries. How important are these libraries? In many American cities, actually more people subscribe to the public library than to the telephone service. But now back to Helen Martin. What does the girl in the city library do? Well, she might do cataloging to begin with. She might sit at the reference desk and help subscribers look up material. She might even start in the repair room, mending and sorting old books. Wherever she started, today she would be required to be a trained librarian. That is, 1 year at a library school after her college course. But when Helen Martin came to the city,
I was lucky. It wasn't necessary in those days to have a library training, so having it gave me a good start. I got a job for $100 a month in the information room of a city library, and there I really learned what a librarian really meant. And incidentally, what hard work meant too.
Miss Martin, you're new, but you look capable. We're putting you on 3 nights a week. You will, of course, have those mornings free, but you will remain on duty until 10, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Here's your schedule.
Oh, Miss Martin, that's tough for a beginner. Saturday night when you might want to do things. Oh, I don't mind that. I don't know anybody in the city, and I'd just as lief be at work. Saturday night's the busiest, isn't it? In winter, yes. Saturday afternoon is the worst, though. Where are you living? I found a furnished room over on 47th Street. It looks all right, and it's cheap. $7 a week.
That's about right. I know a pretty good restaurant over there. You can go get breakfast for 25 cents, dinner for 55 cents. You find salaries go very far in the city.
And I know a marvelous shop where you can buy clothes cheap when you need them. Dresses $10 and hats $4. I'll be glad to know about it. But right now, this minute, the only thing I want is a pair of shoes. Low-heeled, comfortable ones. It seems to me I walk miles in that building every day. You do? You can get a pair like mine. Look at them. Comfortable as they come. For $6.
Say, girls, there is a lecture over there in the social division in New Indiana tonight. Want to come? Come on, Miss Martin. You come with us.
one of the librarian's chief tasks is to keep up with events. She must read. She must know what's going on. Travel if she can.
It wasn't easy on $100 a month, but somehow we have to do it. At least read and go to lectures. We must keep ahead of our readers to be able to help them, because that's what a librarian's job is. It isn't books. Books are simply your instrument. It's people. It's human lives. To be helped and inspired and perhaps untangled.
Was the work at the city library hard?
It wasn't easy. It meant always being cheerful and smiling no matter how you felt. It meant working continually under pressure, never a moment to stop and relax. As soon as you finished with one person, there was another right there. Sometimes as many as 100 a day would come to my corner of the information desk. It meant, hello? Oh yes, the health department? Yes, you want a list of books on air washing? Yes, I'll refer you to Mr. Anderson in the engineering section. He'll help you. All right, certainly. Thank you.
Excuse me, miss?
Just a minute until I make a note. There. Yes. What can I do for you?
Do you have any books on King Tut?
King Tut? Why, I think we have a good many. We have quite a selection on ancient Egypt.
Well, I read a little piece about him the other day, and I thought I'd like to read more.
I think I can give you quite a list. I'm not sure they are in the circulation library, but I know you can read them in the reference section.
That's all right, miss. I got plenty of time to read. I worked in a shoe factory, but they laid me off, and I got to find something to take my mind off things. This little piece about King Tut sort of got me, and I'd like to read some more.
That factory worker during his unemployment got to be almost an authority on Egypt. From simple little books he branched out, and the last time I saw him he was going to write an article for his community paper and was talking to the museum about a job. There were others.
Excuse me, miss. I want some books on chicken raising. Can you suggest a good one?
We have several. This catalog will give you some, and I'll be glad to make out a list.
I'd appreciate that. You see, my husband has worked hard in the city all his life, and now we want to go into the country. We've bought a little place, and we think we can make a go of it if we raise chickens.
You wanted to take a couple of hours to help these people and dig into their subject for them, but you could only skim the surface. The demands were too heavy. A wiring diagram for a photoelectric cell? Call Mr. Green in the electric division. Information on grading milk in California? I'll see what we have. You're giving a debate on bus lines versus streetcars? Yes, I think we can get you a list of books.
Say, miss, can you help me? I'm looking for some books on public speaking.
Textbooks or general reading?
Well, I don't know. Anything that will help me. My boss sent me here. He wants me to make a speech at the mill next winter to the union and, well...
Have you ever done any public speaking?
Nah, I can't seem to say anything in them meetings unless I get mad. I thought maybe if you could help me with some books.
We could help them. We could always help them. Time was our only handicap.
The libraries were first to realize this, and in the last 10 years, out of these demands has grown one of the most interesting branches of library work in the whole field. Work that ranks with social work in its far-reaching effects. That is the work of the Reader's Advisory staff.
That means that instead of floods of questions coming to the General Information Desk, an office was set aside where a librarian could meet people, study them, talk to them quietly, and out of that conference recommend a list of books best suited to their needs. It's thrilling work, and it takes all the tact and sympathy and learning you could ever give.
Did you join the advisory staff?
No, I was at the information desk 3 years. Then one day they sent me to the children's room.
The children's room. Thanks to far-sighted teachers and librarians of 50 years ago, almost every library today boasts a children's room or a children's corner, and children make up a third or more of America's total library users.
I'll never forget my first introduction to the children's room. I walked into a room filled with small chairs and tables, and dozens of youngsters.
Miss Martin, could I have Black Sambo?
Yes, Sally, right here. Sally, I've missed you. Where have you been all these weeks? Don't you want to tell?
Home.
Home? And no time to come for books?
No, it wasn't that.
Well, don't talk about it, Sally, if you don't want to. Here's Black Sambo.
I know why she didn't come, Miss Martin. Her brother, too. They didn't have any shoes. That's why. They didn't come to school either.
Sally, dear.
It wasn't that at all. Let me have Black Sambo. I'm going home.
There were all kinds of problems to be faced, and we did what we could to help those children on their way, making up for their poor surroundings and cramped quarters by opening the wide world of books to them. I was there for nearly 4 years. By that time, I had been in library work about 12 years. I was transferred to another branch of the city library as assistant to the head, and my salary was $2,000.
Now we want to know what problems a librarian has. What are the headaches in her job?
Well, it depends where she is. At the desk of a public library, Well, stay around here and you'll see.
Gee, Miss Martin, I'm sorry I kept these books so long.
Well, it's bad, Joey. Your overdue bill is 26 cents.
26 cents? Gee, Miss Martin, I haven't got 26 cents.
I'm sorry, really, I am. But it's a library rule. You can't take out another book until your overdue bill is taken care of. You don't have to pay it all at once, Joey.
Oh, well, I have 10 cents with me.
Why, that's fine. That's almost half of it. You'll have the rest paid off in no time.
I can't leave it all. Could I have 9 cents back, please? And please, I'd like another book.
And because librarians must be something of psychologists as well as book advisors, Joey will get his next book, though it will take him many weeks to pay that fine. We've tried to give you glimpses of the work of America's 40,000 librarians, who dispense 4 free books a year for every man, woman, and child in the country, at a per capita expense of 37 cents a year. Were each person to purchase those books, he would spend nearly $10. How did the library system start? Well, libraries are as old as books themselves, but in this country, interest in it was promoted by a group of eager young men in Philadelphia over 200 years ago. In 1731, Benjamin Franklin established a free lending library, and soon other book collections followed. In 1754, the New York City Library had 650 books in its collection, smaller than the smallest rural library today. A century later, it had grown to 31,000. But still, free books were available to only a fraction of the public. In 1850, a small, ragged 13-year-old boy in Allegheny, Pennsylvania, found time heavy on his hands, and Colonel James Anderson, a citizen of the town, noticed the little fellow playing in Barefoot Square.
What are you doing there, young fella?
I'll just finished my chores sweeping. There aren't any more jobs until tomorrow, so I'm whittling.
Seems to me you could do something better with your time. Ever look at a storybook?
Books? No, I never seen a book, mister. We don't have books at my house.
Well, now, I'll tell you something. A boy like you ought to have books to read. Now, you come home with me and I'll show you some books, and you can take any of them home to read you want.
Take 'em home. Oh, mister, that's grand of you.
I know they call you Andy around the square. What's your full name?
Carnegie, Sir Andrew Carnegie.
Andrew Carnegie never ceased to be grateful for that first opportunity to read good books, and years later, when he became a multimillionaire, he translated that gratitude into $65 million worth of libraries in communities all over the country. Over 3,000 libraries bringing books to sections that had never known them. But what of the early librarians? In Ben Franklin's day, the paid librarian worked 2 afternoons a week for a salary of $60 a year. But times were changing. Those who had pioneered and settled found time to read. Books were more in demand, and trained persons to take care of them. After the Civil War, the work began to take on the dignity and scholarship of a profession that was to influence every kind of activity.
I'm a college librarian.
I drive a country book wagon.
I'm a librarian on a newspaper.
And dozens of others, trained as Helen Martin is trained. Today, the librarian is in demand everywhere, and today, some 35,000 women and 5,000 men answer that demand.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Paul Helping Hands 4-H Club's version of The Librarian, starring 4-H members Megan, Jade, Kane, and Rochelle. Special contributions by Andrew Legany and Edith Sexsmith.